How good we are here flowing in the prophetic for the house. That's right. From the house and for the house. The place where we come to nourish ourselves with the word. Leader Josefina, how are you doing? I'm good. It's a pleasure for me to be here visiting since I was already waiting for this call for a long time. I was ready. Nobody escapes this. So we're here. It's a privilege for me, really, to be here with you. And for us as well, it's an honor to have you in this experience with the mission and to enjoy the different experiences that you come to bring us. In that same order, let us hear from you. What's the most impactful experience you've had while being here in the Ministry Generation Joshua, working together with him and the body? Tell us your experience. Well, my experience have been many. Luckily, you cannot share 2 or 3, but you can only share 1. But my most impactful experience, you can say, because I come from a rejection spirit where me talking to people was very difficult for me. And I remember that a long time ago, before the pandemic, there was a meeting called. Everybody from the ministry, everybody that had gone through the trainings, they called us to a meeting to teach us how to give studies. And I looked at my daughter and I said, but it's not me they're talking about. And Yesenia said, yes, you. I felt like I was so nervous. And I said, me? They're going to make me give studies? I don't know how to give studies. I can't do that. I'm not gonna do that. And Yesenia said, well, they put you on the list, so go. And that was an experience. And afterwards was the interesting thing. I didn't want to teach the refocusing of the studies because I would tell myself, well, these people that are taking these refocusing studies have already gone through the studies. So what am I going to tell them? They already know. And they're expecting me to say something. So it was a big confrontation for me. But thanks to the Father, after that, I lost the fear. And we're here. Apostle says, this is so cool. And it's cool because who's talking, people have no idea. Josefina Luciano is a key part of the ministry, very well known. Because Josefina is one of the leaders that's the most mentioned in the baptisms. The one that just said that the day that she was called to be exposed, to teach in evangelism, to be prepared, see how she was saying, me? No, because she had issues with rejection. And today she's a person that is one of our veteran evangelists. See where she comes from, where a veteran comes from? And not only veteran, but she's acclaimed. And all the reports where she's intervened, there are people that even call her Pastor Josefina. Because it's not just that she's a good evangelist, but she's a person that's caring and has a good spirit. So there are people that handle themselves in a good spirit that you feel like they're giving you things like with love from the Father. And people receive that. And I'm talking because that's the feedback I've received in all the baptisms. And even international baptisms. I keep hearing, Josefina. I'm like, which Josefina are they talking about? You understand? And some people have said, Pastor Josefina said. And I was like, wow, she even was anointed and sent. And see what she says. When I was called to prepare me for evangelism, I said no. And look what came out of that. A person that is a great evangelist, a consistent person that is always in an evangelism group. She's always taking studies to give. That's why in Josefina I learned something that I always knew was like that. And it's that you can never underestimate anyone. Because aside from that, Josefina is a founder in the ministry. And she knows that from day one, we would say, we're all going to preach. We're all going to evangelize. We're all going to teach. And she, in her spirit of rejection, she would say, no, but he's not talking about me. And today, at her house, where she lives, everyone is evangelist. Everyone everyone ministers and everyone works for the ministry. And she says, that's a wealth. That's a wealth. And I rejoice when I see people getting baptized, saying how good they felt. I rejoice. You don't even imagine how much I rejoice. And every time I leave a change of government, a baptism, I say, I'm going to go harder. I'm going to go even harder. Why? Because I see it as wow, it's a boom for me. Apostle says, of course, imagine your marks in the bloodline are hearing now that the one that the enemy said, is she good for nothing? She's not going to make it. We're going to get her stuck. She's not going anywhere. And now everybody's saying, Josefina, 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 help me. Josefina, counsel me. Josefina gave me a study. And it was so good how she taught me. Those are the reports. And you say, wow, who would have imagined that in your bloodline, all those marks, we're going to hear that your name was going to be highlighted above anything. Imagine how powerful, how probably you're not famous in the midst of many, but in the heavens you are known because your name is mentioned every time somebody goes to be baptized. She says, Hallelujah, how I used to say it in the system. You understand? How powerful when somebody like you, who was always who's always been somebody that's wanted to learn. And at the end, I know you found meaning to your life by connecting to the kingdom and working for the kingdom. And now you say, wow, it's a person now that's a channel of blessing for so many. See how amazing. See, I enjoy it. And I know she enjoys it, but she doesn't know I enjoy it more than her. Why? Lewis says, because we bet on that. Prophetically, the Holy Spirit said, yes, from there we're going to bring the wealth out. And even though she wasn't seeing wealth in herself and others were not seeing wealth in her, we did. And now you hear her name mentioned and you're like, wow. As a body, each member of the body, when they activate, then the body is enlarged. And that is why Christ designed the body so that he could administer it and guide it to the purpose that the Father designed for each one of us. You understand? And just like the enemy would despise you and reject you, now you are bringing rejected people and despised people, bringing them to the light of Christ. How what can you say to that? Josefina says, each day I've wanted to keep advancing because I see that when I see the list, I wish I could take all the classes because I can't, because there are so many people that need. And sometimes I take too many classes and sometimes I have conflicting schedules because I have 2 classes at the same time, but you do what you got to do, you figure it out. And Apostle says the work of the kingdom is what gives life meaning. And that's when you say, wow, and you get excited because Josefina is in her territory, a woman at home, that at some point the enemy would tell her, what are you going to do? What have you accomplished? See where you are. She was being accused that she wasn't doing anything and that she wasn't going to be anything. And imagine now the ministry has given her kingdom work. And see how she takes studies here and there, and that's so much so that they sometimes overlap. But she wishes she could do more. she wishes she could take on more, be able to cover more. That means that her life today is not empty, is not idle, but she's busy giving extra miles and extra hours, doing for others what was done for her. Josefina says, we have to give by grace what we have received by grace. And I've received a lot. And I'm still receiving. And today you're feeling prosperous and blessed. And people might ask you, what do you do? I serve the kingdom. And the miracles and the wonders flowing. And you're living off of the Great Commission of Salvation and seeing miracles and wonders. Josefina was the one that used to always tell me, Apostle, I have to talk to you. I need a meeting with Apostle every single day. And I would ask God, what have I done? What am I paying for? Please help me out with this. Please, I don't ask you anything else, Lord. Just help me. Help me. Josefina says, I would call the office and say, please put me on the list. I need to talk to Apostle. Every Sunday, every single Sunday. And I was like, oh my gosh, Lord, I don't ask you for anything else. Just help me find her work. Because this was during the time where this structure was not designed. We were building the structure. So, this is done in a very concise way and waiting the right time. We had all kinds of people that were, their lives were over. They didn't know what to do, where to go without meaning. And I was like, God, what do I do? Help me. Because they were all coming to me. And Josefina said, I had no north. I only felt good when I was talking to you, Apostle. And I was like, okay, Sunday, I need to talk to Apostle. And I would ease her, I would align her and ease her up. And then after we liberated the project of evangelism completely, then everybody turned into evangelists. And after that, nobody has come running to me. There's no more idle people. There's no idleness here. Nobody's saying, what's going to be of my life, Apostle? Take 2 discipleship students and we'll talk. Take 2. Because how good is it when you're a channel of blessing for others? How good when others see in you that alternative when there's none. There's no way out. That's not a joke. That's not a game. And to experiment that each member of the body can enjoy that when that was only enjoyed by the preachers, the men of God. No, everyone is a man and woman of God. And everyone here can have the experience of savoring what it is to give meaning to your life when you turn into an intercessor, because you're taking the place of another. When you're doing for others what's done for you. You know what that means? For you to see a deaf person hear, a mute speak. You understand? And that you say, wow, that was through me. And that's what's happening with all those who connect to the Great Commission of Salvation, that they connect to be, just like every member of the ministry, to go out for others. Like Josefina started talking about being a depressive person without north. And the minute that she took the prophetic route of the house, that she got on the path, and I'm repeating again because she's here since day one. And being here from day one, and she says, Apostle, I got here and I used to repel my own self. I used to say, I can't. Like, what's that stinge? It's me. That's how I arrived to this ministry. What is that? What is that? Oh, it's me. So these are the people that I started with, and I had no structure. Of course, I was always ministering day and night, and it was to sustain them during the period of building the structure that we have today. So you see what I was working with all these people, and how powerful that you see today somebody that's here since day one, But when the ministry was activated completely, the structure, then we activated her to be sent, then she changed. Everyone has given meaning to things. Now everything has meaning. Everything makes sense. And now for her, she finds meaning in everything. That's our wealth. That's the wealth that people don't understand, because everyone thinks wealth is material things, and it's not. Wealth is when you have everything that you need for what you have been called. Not for what you think or for what you want, but for what you have been called. See where the wealth stems from. And that's why there's a word that we always say here, and it's God sponsors his projects. So there you realize how with the material within the house, we were able to come out and get ahead with the people in this house. And look, now you hear Josefina and the condition that she was in, where she despised herself. Josefina says, I used to say, Apostle, if they're counting on me to start, they're going to start very, very poorly. Because it was starting to give the studies. It was from the beginning. Apostle says, see what my stimulants were? That's what motivated me. Those are the people that motivated me. There's no way to describe all the crazy people that I had around me. And today, they're warriors. And see how Josefina talks today and how they speak of Josefina. And not just people that connect through evangelism, but the whole ministry. There's nobody in this ministry that doesn't acknowledge and exalt what is the prophetic covering over Josefina, a woman with a disposition that you can count on her 24/7, 100%. Louis says, what Josefina was saying, now I understand what you always say. You always say, we're gonna do this against you, against everything, and against the devil, and against the world. I'm gonna do it with you. And I'm gonna give you, it was prophetic. I'm gonna explain to you why I used to say that. It was something very prophetic. Look at the people that I have around me. I had to say against you, against myself, against everything. We're going to make it, because I had nothing else to say but tell what I had in front of me, tell what they saw, and tell the devil. And say, even if the world doesn't believe, against all that, I believe God, and we're going to do it. Because there was no way to believe. She remembers, because she was sitting in the audience, when I would say, the wealth is coming from the house. But you would see everybody around them, and if you would flip them over and shake them, and if you put together $5 amongst all of them, that was too much. Apostle, I remember when you used to say, you're going to preach, you're going to teach, and I'm not going to preach anymore. You're going to have to make appointments to see me. And I was like, what do you mean? And who's going to preach? And all that I would wonder myself, and who's going to do it? And you would say, you see, I'm going to go travel and you're going to stay here. And I was like, what? All those prophetic words, Apostle says, that the prophetic flow is a constant. And sometimes the people highlight, oh, you used to say, but it's a constant. And it's what happens today. I would say everybody's going to travel a lot. Everybody's going to preach many things that the Spirit would entrust me with. Because remember that this is a prophetic ministry. And the prophetic is a constant declaration where the word of science, revelation, is liberated. And that exposes a lot. It shakes each life. And see how she was being told. And see how today she counsels, she teaches, and how she works for many departments. She works in many areas. So, but that same person that today is a prophet that handles many areas is the prophet that was saying that she didn't think she was capable. that she would ask, with me, they're counting on me? And yes, today that word is her. So nobody can come saying that with me, no, it's not going to happen. If people understood that independently from your preparation or not, or your lack of, the purpose of God is His. It is God's purpose. Hear me well. What happens is that there's a problem here. The first thing, God has a purpose. It just sounds so huge, and you're broke, and the enemy's taking you. And you're like, but God has time to think about me? That part is a lot. Just to think that God wants to have something to do with you. Why? If you yourself with such great needs, you don't expect that God's going to want to have anything to do with you who has so many needs. And I've said it before, that God knows what you need. And you say, but if He knows it, then why don't I have what I need? No. God knows what you need. You're the one that doesn't know what you need. What happens is that your necessities are framed within social stereotypes and not in what you actually need in that moment. Sometimes you need to connect and that's it. And that's what the time is for. Or time to form yourself. Or time to be quiet, and God needs you to be quiet. But you want to talk. What I want to do is talk. God needs you to be quiet. So God puts you in situations to be quiet. Sometimes He puts you in situations to stop, so that you could go through the process of lacking. Because He wants to work with you directly, but you never saw it as God wants to deal with me directly. You saw it as, oh, I don't have money, I have to look for work. But you didn't see that that was the moment of, okay, let me bring it down a notch, let me connect, and let me go where He wants to take me. Josefina says, I had a spirit of anxiety. I used to say, okay, I need to work. I can't be idle. I can't be like this. I need to do something. You remember Apostle used to come to your office every day saying, tell me, what do I do? Because I was anxious. I didn't do anything. The enemy had me thinking, oh, what are you going to do? Cooking here, that's it? What are you going to do? And the devil behind the scenes affecting me. I had to quiet him down, say quiet. And that's where I was able to advance, because it was constant, the battle. And Apostle says, yeah, she was kept cornered. And she would always come, Apostle, I want to do this. I want to talk to you about this. And you would help her out. But at the end, it was anxiety, because she was dying to dislocate the purpose. She wanted to come out of the purpose, because that's a soul wants to bring you out. But take it easy, step by step. And of course, we intervene so that she wouldn't deviate herself from the path in terms of purpose. And thank God it was accomplished, because see today what she says, what she acknowledges, and who she is today in this ministry. See how interesting. That's why I was saying that the purpose of God, it's constructed in different stages. And we have to understand that we need to know how to take on each season. Seasons are always going to take us to take advantage of you learning something new. And we don't want to stop and get to know that stage. And that's where the dislocation begins, because we want to act like common human beings. Oh no, this is what's in now. We don't have anything to do with what's in now or what's not in. We have nothing to do with what is or what's not. That's why sometimes we're going to find ourselves in situations where, okay, this is what's in now, but you have no money to buy what's in. So then you begin to get frustrated. Oh, everybody has this car and I don't. Everybody has these shoes and I don't. Now people do this and I can't. You don't have to go with them. So when you learn to allow yourself to be guided by the Spirit, you learn to know in what season you're being moved. And when you identify, okay, this season is of my formation, then you form yourself. Or this season is where I have to give, then you give. Or this season is where you have to be quiet, then you be quiet. But now the season of talking came, then talk. This is the season where I have to work, then work. When is each season appropriate? But let's not run like chickens without a head, because of the soul that lives from what it sees. It always wants what everybody has. It motivates itself from society. That's why everyone who feeds themselves with junk content, they're always going to be afraid, because you're being motivated by junk. And you're like, okay, did you see what's coming? Did you see what's happening? The point is always to make people feel like they're left behind. It's entertainment, or more so slavery. They're slaves. And they suffer for that because they want what everybody else has. The word says something cool, very interesting. Seek first the kingdom of heaven and his justice, and everything else will be added unto you. Those that give priority to the kingdom of God, those that give priority, you understand, to the ministerial in their lives, then you see how the things of God manifest in you. And how that atom that you used to drool over is going to chase after you. Okay? And now what you used to kill yourself over is going to turn into something insignificant for you. And in the meantime, people are, desiring to have things, and those things turn into your rug, the rug that you walk over. Normal. So look how much we will kill ourselves to get something, and Lewis says, and then you think about it and you are even embarrassed. Wow, I was fighting for that. I wanted that so badly. And this is what I wanted to accomplish. And this was the extraordinary thing that I was seeking after. Is this what I was seeking? Apostle says, so that's what happens sometimes when we allow ourselves to be deviated from the purpose of God, because we want to hype up the soul. So it's so important. And I'm not going to lie. Literally, I had to tie her up. I had to tell her to stop. Come this way, not that way. God intervened in her life, and see how powerful. The fact that she could resist, that she could wait. And today as a ministry, we are enjoying the wealth of that prophetic covering that God has put over her. See how amazing that is. So to hear her, for me, it's like going back. I feel like I just opened a history book of Generation Joshua, and that it's reflected even the fruit of the work, that, like people say, it was worth it. It was worth the pain, holding on and being steadfast. Because there were people that told me in my face, with that, you're not going to make it. You're going to fail with those people. Yeah, because they despised them, because they didn't see the talent, or they didn't see the background, the pedigree, or they didn't, hit the different stereotypes. And God said, you're going to do it with that. And I believed it. And for those who don't know, today, this ministry is, the ministry has the people that were with me at the beginning. They're all here. And anyone you talk to here in this ministry has at least been in the ministry for 10 years. So the ministry births what it needs. The ministry births what it needs. That's why if ministries knew that they don't have to seek anything anywhere, because the ministry of Christ was designed so that the demand creates a strategy for the objective of God to be executed always. So we're moving forward according to the immediate needs, but then we're creating the strategies. We've never done things trying to do like so and so, or because they do it like this, we don't work like that. We work according to the need that we have. You understand? Every day there are new needs. We're creating, implementing strategies and put them into place. Every time there's a need that's new, we implement a strategy. So we handle ourselves based on what we need, not based on what's left over or keeping an eye on what we're not missing. So the soul driven are not looking for what they need, they're looking for what everyone has. The soul people are doing what others do. Furthermore, many think if I do like this one, I'm going to do well. There's a lot of philosophies, especially the material people and the goal-driven people. They're always trying what other people try. That's a lie. There's nothing more impactful of the geniuses of history, and that is that they're original. They weren't trying to copy or imitate anyone. Genius are not the ones that are making a show or pretending. Geniuses don't pretend, they are. So if you think you have something of God or some of intelligence, be original. Don't start looking, let me find the book, how to make it in a few days, how to be rich. When in reality, what you need to know is how to connect so that you could deal with your life. That's the only thing you need. That's why I'm going to repeat again. Like I said before, the word teaches us something very powerful for you to learn to liberate the wealth in your life. And I'm going to say how the text says, seek first the kingdom of heaven and his justice, and all things that people seek after will be added unto you.
Gracias por sintonizar nuestro podcast Misión PJ. Nos vemos en un próximo episodio.